Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be taking a look here at the Master Grade Marasai. This kit came out back in, 2012, so it's been out for a little while, but the reason why I went ahead and picked one up here finally at long last was because I plan not to use this as one of the kits in my entry for GBWC this year, so hopefully I'm able to get that finished on time. But in the meantime, we need to at least get the kit unboxed and built up, so I'm gonna just do a regular unboxing and review here for you guys for the kit. And then once that's all done, I can start on some more work on it. So first off, on the box art here on the front, it's looking pretty cool. I actually do have the premium Bandai Unicorn version of this as well, which I've actually had for a while, but I didn't want to use that for my GBWC entry, so I went ahead and picked up one of the regular version here. Really not a fan of the beam rifle that the regular version of this has, but unfortunately, I think that's all you really get in here as far as rifle weaponry, so I'll have to figure out something else. But aside from that, the box art still does look really cool. You have this moon scene there with the earth in the background and the two Marasai sort of zooming along there. On the top and the bottom of the box, just gonna be kind of the same thing. Let's go around here onto this side. One of the special features of this kit is that it comes with this special piece here for plugging onto an action base so that you can display the Marasai so that it's falling backwards like that, or falling backwards down through space like that is supposed to be what you're able to visualize there with that piece. So then you're also just able to plug it onto an action base like normal there for a just regular shooting pose, something like that. Over here you got a couple of stills from the anime, and you can see just front and back shot of the kit there, what it looks like all painted up. We do have a little pilot figure included, as well as some markings, which I'm guessing are probably just going to be just dry transfers, I'd imagine, for some numbers and Titans logos there. And then just showing a little bit about the weapons, how the shield kind of folds up, the cockpit opens up, and yeah, it just has the beam sabers there as well. On the opposite side here, we got a really cool action pose there. It was showing off some of the mobility of the suit. You're able to get it into a pretty dynamic pose there with that. You have the knee bend, different hand options included with the kit. Just a close-up detail view at some of the articulation of the mono eye, the head, the arms, the shoulders, the hand. And then you can put an LED in this. It's not included, but you can get one of the Bandai LED units and pop that in there to make the mono eye lit up. You can also use the balut system with this, whether you get that with the Hyakushiki Master Grade kit or you buy the balut system separately as the P Bandai set. You can use that with this kit if you want. I won't be, though. And finally over here we've got a look at what the kit is going to look like just straight out of the box. It looks pretty cool, but definitely has that just plastic shine to it, so I mean you're going to at least want to hit this with some flat coat or something, I would say. And then list price you can see there is 4,000 yen for this. So certainly not a very expensive Master Grade, even though it is in this larger size box. It's not particularly very deep. It should be a pretty good size mobile suit though. The mobile suits from this era were of pretty good size. So we just got the green parts there in for like the tubing parts. Those are going to be fun as always. And we've just got some of that kind of orange and red colors for its main colors for the armor, and then a bunch of gray for the inner frame. And then we've got our manual down here at the bottom. So this is the Master Grade manual style there with the like line art silhouette of the head there at the bottom, which means on the back here is our nice big reference image there, what the kit looks like all painted up and everything, but without any markings on it. The manual is all in Japanese, but we'll just go ahead and take a look through some of this here. We have just more images of the kit, a whole bunch of text here about the Marasai, some text down here about the mechanisms of the weapons, backpack, and leg unit. Over here about the head and body unit there, some nice close-up images of that. And then down here a diagram of what all the different parts of the mobile suit are. The next pages we're getting into our parts lists. We've got that all laid out here. Again, not really a ton of runners with this kit. Then we just go through all the construction next. In the middle pages we find our way back to some color with the fights on the dark side of the moon here, fighting off with the Gundam Mark II Aug version there. The Winds of Jabro, you can see just a nice space pose, again just some more Japanese text about those parts of the story. Again, Jabro down here showing off some of the different mobile suits there, Titan's mobile suits and the balut system in use there on the Hyakushiki as well. We have our painting guide over here, all in Japanese, but you can sort that out if you want to figure out the official exact colors for this. And then just once again a little bit about some of the details and finer bits of construction for the kit, the LED unit, the special backpack connector piece, and all of that. And it just continues on with the construction of the mobile suit, the weapons, and how to install the balut system here at the back, and then the marking guide on the last page here where to stick the marking stickers and decals for this. So let's get into checking out the runners then. Alright, so first up we got our sticker sheet here with just some marking stickers and a bunch of different caution markings on there for the Titans logo. We also got that green sticker there, which I can guess is just for the mono eye. So we got some standard sticker markings here, and then some dry transfer decals here for some numbers in big and small size, a couple more Titans logos and a couple more Anaheim Electronics logos, little small ones there for this as well. We got SB1 for our standard clear yellow beam saber effect parts, and the not so common PC200 here for some polycaps here in standard gray. Runner A here is in 3 colors. We got some gray over here on the side to go like inside the tubing, some clear parts there at the top for like the visor and cameras, and then some red parts there throughout the center. Runner B here, some more of the red armor parts for the chest, the skirts, backpack parts, and all that. And then runner C for the rest of our red armor parts here. We've got 2 of this little Sea Runner. Runner D in this very interesting shade of green is our, again, tubing parts, which will go around the gray parts we saw in the A runner. We've got 2 of these, so plenty of those to cut out. Runner E is now getting into the orange color, which is a very sort of like peachy orange kind of color for some of the larger parts of the armor, including a bunch of parts there for the head as well. And the rest of our orange color parts are covered here on the F runner, and we've got 2 of these. Then from here on out, it's all gray, but runner G here is slightly lighter than the later runners, it looks like, to me at least. It looks like we've got some parts here for the weapons, for the cockpit, some booster parts, and then our sitting and standing pilot figures on here as well. Then runner H in a pretty standard medium gray color here is just going to be obviously parts for the inner frame. Runner I then more inner frame parts, including that special backpack adapter piece for the stand, and then some hand parts on here as well. And finally runner J for all the rest of our frame parts, and we've got 2 of this J runner as well. So that is it for the runners and everything in the box. Let me go ahead and get this all put together, and then we'll see how it looks. Alright, and here's how it's going to look when it's all put together. And once again, if you guys missed the live stream build of this, you can go back and check that out here on my YouTube channel if you want to see just me going through the actual building process of this. It's relatively straightforward though for a master grade. Wasn't really anything too surprising there. Of course, doing all the work on putting together the little cable parts there is kind of annoying because you have a bunch of those, and I just roughly clip them out so they're not cleaned up super well. They need some sanding on there. I just clipped them as close as I could just for all the little piping parts there, but everything else, you know, goes together pretty well. I think it makes for a really nice looking suit. Now the color may not be appealing to everyone, as for me personally the standard original Marasai color scheme, I like it in that it's pretty unique, although I think I definitely prefer it in its different color schemes. I mean, pretty much any other different color scheme. We have the unicorn color scheme for that, which is a little bit different, but I think pretty much just kind of anything I think will probably be more appealing to me. And also just the general details around on the surface. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit, but got kind of mixed feelings about some of the external details on the armor of this as well. But first off, let's just sort of quickly run through again the accessories for this. So once again, to run through a few of the accessories we have included here, we've got this 1/100 scale standing pilot figure. We've got the 2 clear yellow beam saber effect parts. We've got a regular action base adapter for up underneath the waist, and then we have our action base adapter for plugging into the backpack, which is on a track here. You can kind of rotate this around, and this is going to be for if you're having it falling backwards through space posing. We've got the beam rifle with a little clear piece in there, a little red piece there for the 2 on the top. This handle will move forward and back. This ammo can be removed from the bottom here like that if you wanted. But otherwise, it's just pretty standard. We have our set of option fingers, which you'll swap out the fingers for this. On the kit, I've just got the closed fists here. You also have a set of just trigger finger hands, and that will just slot into place there on the handle. As you can see, you have the kind of tracks there, and you have a couple of parts in there that will fit into that, but it's not actually really that strong of a connection. So it's a bit of a mystery to me why they designed the handle that way, and they didn't make the hands actually really that good at gripping into those grips there. So we'll have to see how it holds on to that in a second. We do also have, of course, a set of just option hands for holding onto the beam saber handles, which those will work pretty well. And then we have a full set of extra hands, which are our open hands. So these, they wanted to make them in an entirely different kind of form for them, so pretty interesting, cool shape for those. And these have a lot more articulation. The thumb is just on a ball joint, although it doesn't really move a whole lot. And the fingers are each at a ball joint at the base, and then you have one bend at the fingers. So you can kind of bend them a bit like that, which is kind of okay, but they really just seem to be that they're just really meant to be just fully spread out like that. And that's kind of like the intended pose for them. So it's kind of a mystery why they didn't just make them fixed pose. They really seem to be meant for this particular pose. And then of course we just have the option parts for plugging on the balut system onto the backpack. So that's what these extra little parts are for, and that's pretty much it. As for the articulation, because of this giant part on the head, it's not going to be able to move up and down too much, but as you can see, it can move up to about there and down to there. The mono eye inside there can move back and forth. See, if you just remove this whole helmet part there, you can turn the mono eye side to side with this little switch on the top of the head. Now I understand with the reflection on the clear visor part, it's going to be kind of hard to see, but the mono eye is also a clear part in there, so you can paint that whichever color you like, which is nice. So you just plug the top of the head back onto there. And overall, I mean, it's a pretty cool looking head. You have the extra parts there for the nice color separation on the side of the head. And also just on that note, really nice color separation of these parts here on the side of the arm. You have this little raised detail, but it's a completely separate part to give you those little orange bits on this red part there on the arm. Now this whole top section of the torso can be removed there, and that's where you would go ahead and plug in your LED unit if you wanted to use an LED unit with this. As for opening the cockpit hatch, it's a little bit kind of tricky. You have to pull this part out to the front. It sort of slides out and you need to lift it up at the same time, so it's kind of hard. And then that's kind of it. You can see down into there where there's the pilot seated in the pilot's cockpit inside there, but it's kind of weird how it's just like that little bit like that, so not really the most interesting opening cockpit hatch option there. As for the articulation of the chest though, it's pretty nice. Forward and back there, you have a pretty nice bend there for that. Pretty good range. Side to side, you can also bend that side to side pretty well there also, and of course you can rotate this a little bit side to side as well. The whole shoulder joint will swing forward a little bit like that, and then you can bring the arms up, and it's going to be a little bit different for each side as they're not the same. Obviously with the shield side you can bring it up to there. If you kind of move the shoulder armor out of the way as best as possible, you can really only bring this arm up on this side only about to there, so it's going to be a little bit kind of hindered by the shoulder armor on there. But you can rotate the arm then as usual there. A nice double joint in the elbow with some nice cool parts, detail parts there in the elbow as well, so pretty good elbow bend also. The wrist is just on a ball joint here, but as you can see we also have another point of articulation there, so it's kind of like a double ball joint in there around in the wrist section to move this whole section around like that. And then the thumb is just one solid piece on a ball joint there as well. As for the shield on this side, it can be rotated around. You can move that up and down like that, and of course each part can be moved in and out like that as well, so you can kind of have some range of movement there with that also. For the skirt sections, these will move up and down individually. You got some nice detail up underneath the skirts, and the same thing up underneath the back skirts as well, though the back skirts are pretty loose on this kit. If I can show you this, you can see it's just kind of floppy there, and apparently that's a common issue. During the live stream we were talking about that, and it seemed like other people who have built the kit also said that their kit was the same. So although it's kind of loose, it doesn't really seem like that's going to be really any problem for anything. Even if you're having the kit posed backwards like that, it's just going to be like resting down and not really going to be that big of a deal. But of course the side skirts here also will move up and down a little bit like that as well. The hip joint doesn't really have anything too special there. You can just bring the leg all the way forward to there to about 90 degrees, and then at the top of the leg you can just rotate that. Now building this kit, actually while we're on this point, because this really reminds me of the Zaku 2 2.0 frame, a lot of the frame of this is very reminiscent of the Zaku 2 2.0, so it seems like they took kind of a lot of inspiration from that when designing the inner frame for this kit. Now it's not quite as nice, I think, because that's a really nice inner frame. This one though also is pretty nice though, and you can see the similarities in the design. But when we bend the knee, it has some nice separation of that knee armor there a little bit, so you can get a pretty nice knee bend here. Nice double joint there in the knee like that. On the side here is this little piece which you will remove to plug in the balut system there onto the side of the leg there, so just be careful with that little piece not to lose that. This little flap here on the front will move up and down. These flaps here on the side are actually on ball joints, so these can kind of move around a little bit, but there's not really much space for them to move around anywhere, so you can kind of position them a little bit, but not really too much. The seam line is interesting on this kit, how it sort of wraps all the way around like that, and it's meant to be just like a line as part of the design, so it's not really something I would worry too much about, like gluing and sanding, getting rid of that seam line on there, because it's kind of supposed to be like that. But I'm noticing on both sides that it doesn't fully close up there at the bottom, so I wish that was fully closed up. You can see that's just opening up to a little bit of a gap there, which is kind of annoying, but I can't really get it to fit totally flush. As for the ankles, they'll move side to side a little bit, forward, not really all that much, but of course you can bend the toe a little bit here as well, so you got a little bit of separation like that in the foot with some nice detail up inside there. Then you can point the foot back to there. So really forward and back movement here of the ankle is not really going to be all that much. Side to side is also not really all that great either. But overall the articulation is pretty solid. And as far as seam lines, it doesn't really particularly have them. Like on the back of the leg, I mentioned that's just kind of meant to be there. Here on the side of the thigh as well, you can see it looks like those parts are intentionally made to fit together in a way that the back part is actually slightly wider. So anyway, it looks like that's just part of the design. It's not meant to be a seam line that you need to get rid of. Although you could if you wanted to, I suppose, of course, but pretty much all of the kit is designed without really any seam lines on it, which is nice. Oh, and then just taking a look here at the backpack, of course, they don't really have anything that moves on here, but it does look pretty nice. You have a nice clear part there for this camera on the backpack as well. Oh, I guess these parts do move, and you probably will need a knife or something sharp to get this opened up, but this is where you'll open that up to plug in the action base to have this again, like falling backwards. And for a size comparison, here it is with a Master Grade 2.0 Zaku 2, and you can see they're going to be pretty similar in terms of the overall size and shape of them, so it's going to be a pretty standard size Master Grade mobile suit here. But so that's going to pretty much do it here for the Marasai. It's a pretty awesome MG, and the fact that it just kind of ticks the boxes that you'd want. It's got good solid construction, nice color separation on there, and a decent amount of external detail on the armor. The weapons are pretty basic, and just the beam rifle and the two beam sabers, and the accessories are also just a couple of hand option parts are pretty simple. The addition of the option part for the different plug on for the backpack, the different action based adapter there for the backpack, is kind of interesting, but I think it's not really going to be something that's really going to sell the kit necessarily. But for a pretty standard MG that's not going to break the bank, it's a cool design, and I think it comes out being a pretty nice kit, so definitely worth the money. And so I gotta say, if you're like me and you like the design but you've been just kind of holding back on buying the kit for a while, I'd say if you get a chance, pick one up and you'll certainly enjoy it. Now, if you guys do have any other further questions or comments about the kit, of course, do feel free to let me know in the comment section there down below. Once again, you guys can check out the kit and everything else there on USA Gundam Store. The link to USA Gundam Store is going to be down in the video description there, as well as with my coupon code ZakuAurelius10 you can use to save 10% off everything there, so don't forget about that. And for me, for now, the goal is going to be turning this into an AWAC type Marasai, so that's going to be a bit of an adventure. I'll share that all with you guys once we get started on that, but thank you guys all so much for watching the review, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.